History can sometimes be found in the most unlikely of places. Few would recognize this pile of twisted metal and broken boards. Fewer still would know its importance. This nondescript pile of scrap is in reality the Spencer steam tractor, one of the earliest known tractors. This is the amazing story of its reconstruction and the dedicated historians that made it possible.
Myself, along with 4 others, have been working on the Spencer tractor for a little over 2 years. David Spencer was a blacksmith from Pleasant Mount, and he had attended a fair or an expo. At one time, he saw a steam tractor and he decided he'd make one. Gathered parts for several years. Some of the wheels were from cannons in the Civil War, and the front wheels were from wagons, and then made it between 1878 and 79. When I was a child, the tractor was stored behind the Wayne County Historical on Main Street. Then it disappeared, and in 2002 there was a little resurrection, and it was found, brought back to Wayne County, and then it sort of got lost until we got working on it in November of 2017.
My role mostly was, the woodworking and trying to fit things back together, trying to put the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle back together. We started taking things apart, mostly trying to document them as much as we could on it as we were taking things apart. I think probably most of the metal pieces were intact and actually came apart pretty well. Most of the wood was pretty rotted and destroyed, so we had to take everything apart to scratch. We cleaned up the metal, painted it, and then started putting things back together, trying to make sure it was as original as we could get it. It was pretty much of a 3-dimensional jigsaw puzzle.
I was on the Western Wayne School Board, and the tractor arrived in town a long time ago. They were looking for a place to refurbish it, and it had been sitting out in the weather for years and years, and it was in very rough shape. So they took it to the Western Wayne High School, put it in the high school shop, and the boys could work on it, and they did. So they started on it, and they took a lot of parts off it, and they were making drawings and measurements and that kind of thing. And it was just far too much for them to ever see the end of it. And so it was determined that it would need to go out of the school shop. It was just beyond what could be done there. So it went and sat outside again for years. The wheels were already off. And the question was, what to do with the wheels? And I said, well, I have a place in my barn. We can just put them in my barn for a few days or weeks or something. They sat there for 12 years. The project got revived. They came and got the wheels, and we began working on them. The front wheel was in very bad shape. Most of the spokes were just plain rotten, falling out. So down at New Wave Woodworking, where the tractor was at the time, they took one of the spokes, put it in their machine, set the machine, and it ran and spit out 16 spokes, all exactly alike. And so we could put them back in the wheels. The rest of the spokes that were not in that bad shape, but were dry and punky and half rotten, we soaked them with the epoxy, and they're presently in the wheels. You'd never know the difference. They're better than original. Then New Wave turned out on their lathes hubs for the wheels, and we got them all together and painted them up, and they turned out pretty well. There was a lot of work went into restoring the wheels. And now, I guess you'd hardly know that there was ever anything wrong with them. It was a challenge, but we had a lot of work on it. It turned out right.
The tractor was moved from its workshop in New Wave Woodworking in White Mills to the railroad depot in Honesdale. Though the project has taken over a decade, interest has never faltered, and it's finally nearing its completion.
I've been with it and with all the fellows here for the last couple of years, and meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays until later on. We only met on one day, do what we have to do at the time. These fellows are just great. I mean, to work, and nobody ever gets, there's no animosity, there's no bitterness, there's no envy or any strife between any of us. It's been a great journey to me. It really is a community project, and Honesdale has a lot of history here. I lived here all my life, so it's been a wonderful trip, and I hope it keeps going.
When the tractor is finished, it will be prominently displayed in Wayne County. It's home for over 130 years.
And if you like Wally Life, please click the subscribe button below.